Hey everybody, how you doing? It is Tuesday. It is 12:45. I'm late. We're usually going live at 12:30 for Timeout Tuesday. This is actually episode 68, 68th straight week that I'm coming to you on Tuesday afternoons with Timeout Tuesday. I wish I could tell you that there was a really good reason why I am 15 minutes late for doing my 12:30 video. However, the actual reason is that I totally forgot it was Tuesday. So, it's kind of fortunate that I had already prepared the content that I wanted to talk to you about today. And I think I named this video something like, "We will not make your kids violent." And so the genesis of this video is that, over the course of a year, we received tons of calls from people that are considering bringing their kids to karate. And these are kids of all ages. And there are very often cases where one parent thinks that taking a child to karate is a really good idea, but the other parent is very concerned that it's going to turn them into violent, that it's going to make them fight or turn them into bullies or something like that. And that's not an uncommon thing. We hear that all the time. And, we were able to, talk through that with the parents and let them understand the why on that. And I figured I would spend a little time doing that with you on the video today. But what really caused me to think about it in this particular case was that about a week ago, one of our students that had been on an introductory membership with us was coming to an end, and they wanted to sign their child up for karate. And it just so happened that on that particular day, the parents were there, and the grandmother was with this little boy. And this little boy, really young child, amazing attention span, really good, really able to recall facts and details and follow instructions. It's actually really quite amazing given his age. And the grandmother was expressing that she was not particularly thrilled with this karate. She thought it was going to turn her into a violent kid. And, I wanted to talk a little bit about our philosophy on violence because, all you really have to do is watch the Karate Kid to know that violence is not the essence of karate. However, I'm sure that violence was certainly the cause of the genesis of karate. I mean, there was a need to defend yourself and a need to systemize the way of doing it and the way of teaching it. And especially when it was a matter of life and death, it was a very serious thing to be teaching people. So I imagine that while they were developing these deadly arts, they also were in concert developing this ability to develop character and peacefulness and respect for other people, respect for the dangers associated with violence. And that really is the essence of karate, that we're learning something very dangerous that we hope never to use. And by knowing how to do these very dangerous things, it actually puts us in a position of confidence that we don't rush to fisticuffs. We're not going to be the first one to swing. We're not going to resort to violence as a means of solving a problem. It's going to be quite the contrary. We're going to try every possible means necessary to avoid conflict because we know how dangerous it can be. We know how dangerous it can be because we practice it on a weekly basis in the martial arts school, in the dojo. And, that's great, and that's a good sound bite, and maybe it's a good for a brochure, but really, it's about where the rubber meets the road, right? And so, being as we've had this dojo open for decades, and we've had thousands of students passing through our doors, and hundreds that continue to train with us, I can say that I can count on one hand the number of cases where one of our students has gotten into a fight, period. Whether they started it or whether someone else started it. So that's maybe a handful of cases, 5, 6 at the most. And of those 5 or 6 cases, I can think of 2 that were, to some extent, maybe instigated by one of our students, not in a particularly dangerous way, and possibly even a function of playing with a friend that maybe got a little bit out of hand. And when we found out about that, the parents are very quick to tell us about these events. when we find out about things like that, the first thing we do is sit that child down and we remind them that this is never something that's supposed to be used outside the dojo unless we have absolutely no other choice, and that we never want to hear again that they're starting a fight or an instigator or in any way, shape, or form bully. We let people know that we are just not interested in creating bullies or violent people whatsoever. And of those 2 cases that I can think of off the top of my head, I never heard about it ever again. In other words, the parent never came back in and said, "Nah, that talk you had with him didn't work. They're still continuing to be." But it just kind of went away. It was just that student, in both cases, they were kind of young, needed a reminder. In other cases, parents get concerned that their kids that are training together are going to practice their karate on each other at home. And similarly, in cases like that, we tell them, look, practicing is one thing, but using your karate as a means of, solving conflict and sibling rivalry is not going to be acceptable to us, and we won't tolerate it. And if we hear about it, we're going to ask you not to train here anymore because it's just not in the interest of what we're trying to do. And so I guess at the end of the day, the most important thing that I can convey to everybody is that teaching children how to protect themselves, teaching them how to develop strategies for getting to safe places, teaching kids how to get their hands up to protect themselves if something looks like it's getting a little bit scary. These are all very important things, and I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't want their children to know how to do that. But we are definitely very set on making sure that our children are being developed into peaceful, respectful, and courteous people. The last thing I wanted to mention is that in a couple of cases, the other 3 cases where there was some element of interaction between a couple of kids, in both of those cases, in 3 of those cases, what they actually wound up getting out of the physical altercation by using words. In 2 of the 3 cases, by using body language and verbal cues, putting their hands up, in a kind of a non-threatening way, letting the person know that they don't want any trouble. And that's 2 of the cases. It's just the problem dissolved. In the 3rd case, the student used a strategy that was fascinating. He was actually getting picked on by somebody in an area at school where a teacher was not able to see them. They were just sort of hidden behind some thing. I don't remember what it was. And what this student did, because he knew he didn't want to get into a fight, he knew he didn't want to hurt this other person because he knew that he possibly could, what he did was sort of lure this other kid out into the open where a teacher was able to see them, and he was able to get this teacher's attention, and then the problem dissolved. And I thought that was brilliant, and I thought that was a great use of martial arts. And in fact, it's really one of the things that Sun Tzu, sometimes people pronounce that Sun Tzu, in The Art of War talks about, which is, the greatest of all generals is the general that never winds up having to fight, wins all the battles without a fight. And that's really what we're trying to teach our kids. So in any case, we're not going to turn your kids into violent people. We're going to teach them how to protect themselves. We're going to teach them how to think things through, how to see problems before they become physical problems, and how to get themselves to a safe place. That's what we're going to do. We think that that's a great thing to do for our kids. I hope you do too. In any case, I hope everyone's going to have a great day today. Spring is here. It's kind of not the nicest day, but summer's coming, so that's exciting for everybody. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the dojo. Summer's a very exciting time for us with summer camp, Summer Olympics. We have another parent night out coming in a couple of weeks. This one's going to be The Floor is Lava, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The kids are all excited about that, and so we, because we're just big kids too. And I hope everyone has a fantastic day today. Peace.